The stars were silent that night in Sector 9, a region of space ruled by the Krix Empire. Their patrol ships moved slowly across the border, hunting for smugglers or rebels. It was routine work, boring work. Nothing ever happened here. That was until they saw it. A strange signal appeared on their scanners. Weak. Unsteady. Almost broken. At first, they thought it was a piece of space junk, maybe an old wreck drifting in the dark. But when the image cleared, the patrol captain frowned. It was a ship. A human ship. The vessel was ugly, rusty, and slow. Its engines flickered like dying candles. The hull looked cracked, and whole sections of its armor were missing. No weapons were visible. No defenses were active. It moved like an injured animal, crawling through space. The alien patrol laughed when they saw it. This is what the humans send into our territory. A broken can. They must be desperate. Another officer added, "We should destroy it now. One shot will turn it to dust." But the patrol captain was cautious. "Wait. Let's see what they are doing here. Humans are tricky." He leaned closer to the screen. The ship was small compared to their cruisers, maybe 1/10 the size. There was no reason to fear it. Yet something about the way it moved felt deliberate. Not random. Not lost. It looked weak, yes, but it moved with purpose. Inside the human ship, the crew sat in silence. The lights were dim. The air was tense, heavy, as if everyone knew a secret but no one dared to speak it. At the center of the bridge sat Captain Elias Ward, his eyes fixed on the black space ahead. He looked calm, too calm for a man whose ship was surrounded by enemies. One of his young officers whispered, "Captain, they are closing in. Orders." The captain's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Not yet," he said softly. "Let them come closer." Back outside, the alien patrol surrounded the vessel. They broadcast their demands in a harsh voice. "Human ship, you are in Krix space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, you will be destroyed." The reply came after a long silence. A weak, static-filled signal. The voice of a human officer. "We surrender." The aliens laughed again. Pathetic. They know they cannot win. "What did I tell you? This will be easy." The patrol prepared their boarding teams. But the captain of the patrol ship still felt a chill crawl down his neck. Something didn't feel right. He studied the human crew through the ship's cameras. They were standing at their stations, calm, almost waiting. Not afraid. Not desperate. They looked like men and women ready for something. He turned to his first officer. "Why do they look so calm? They are about to die, yet they stand like statues." The officer shrugged. "Humans are strange. Maybe they've given up." But deep inside, the captain felt doubt. He had fought humans before. He knew their weakness, their strength, their fear. But he had never seen them look like this. Not once. On the human ship, the youngest crew member shifted nervously. "Captain, why don't we fire back? Why don't we run?" Captain Ward shook his head. "Patience. Timing is everything. Let them think we are weak. Let them believe the story they want to see." His words were calm, but his eyes burned with something sharper, something dangerous. The alien boarding teams launched their shuttles. They laughed as they flew closer, weapons ready. They expected a broken ship, scared soldiers, easy victory. But as the shuttles approached, one alien officer suddenly froze. His scanner beeped, showing strange energy deep inside the human vessel. "Commander," he whispered urgently, "there is something hidden inside that ship." The commander frowned. "What kind of something?" The officer shook his head. I don't know. It's buried too deep to read clearly. But the energy levels, they're not normal. They're not weak." The commander growled. "Nonsense. That ship is falling apart. Don't be fooled by tricks." Yet his voice trembled slightly, as if he wasn't sure of his own words. Inside the human ship, Captain Ward finally stood. His crew watched him, silent, waiting. He pressed a button on the console and spoke, his voice low but firm. "Hold positions. Let them reach us. And when I give the order," he paused, his eyes narrowing, "we show them what this ship really is." Back outside, the alien shuttles drew near. The weak human ship floated quietly, like a corpse in the void. The patrol commander grinned. "This battle is over before it began." But then his officer's scanner beeped again, louder this time, warning of something rising inside the human vessel. The officer's eyes widened in fear. "Commander, something is waking up in that ship." The human ship's hull shuddered. Lights flickered across its surface, not broken sparks this time, but controlled patterns. The patrol commander's grin faded. His chest grew tight. He realized the terrible truth too late. This was no broken, weak vessel. This was something else. Something dangerous. Something the humans had kept hidden until now. And then, for the first time, the human crew smiled. The Krix patrol commander stared at the human ship, his hands tightening on the armrest of his chair. What had looked like a weak, dying vessel now showed signs of life. Strange lights pulsed across its hull, like veins glowing under skin. The commander's instincts screamed at him. Something was wrong. Yet, the human ship did not attack. It simply drifted, calm and still, as if mocking the alien fleet. The boarding shuttles floated nearby, hesitant now, their pilots whispering in fear. "Commander, should we continue?" one of them asked. The commander's pride refused to show weakness. "Yes," he growled. "They surrendered. They are broken. Don't let lights fool you." A signal crackled through the comms, weak and shaky. It was the human voice again. "We surrender," it repeated. The words were soft, almost pitiful. "We have no weapons. No defenses. Take us if you must." The alien crews laughed, their fear melting into arrogance. "Hear that? They beg for mercy," one officer said. "The humans are nothing without their tricks. This ship is finished." The commander tried to laugh with them, but deep inside, unease gnawed at him. He replayed the camera feed from the human ship's bridge. What he saw made his skin crawl. The human crew stood at their stations like statues. They did not panic. They did not plead. Their faces showed no fear, no tears, no anger. They were silent. They were calm. Even in surrender, they looked too ready, too prepared. It was not how defeated soldiers should look. The commander whispered to himself, "Why do they stand so still?" Inside the human vessel, Captain Elias Ward leaned forward, hands folded behind his back. The youngest officer glanced at him nervously. "Captain, they believe we are weak. They are laughing at us." Ward nodded slowly, his eyes cold. "Good. Let them laugh. The more they laugh, the closer they come." The ship hummed faintly, a low vibration that only the human crew could hear. It was not the sound of failing engines. It was something else. Something alive, deep within the core of the vessel. The crew felt it but said nothing. They had been trained for this moment, warned for years never to speak of what the ship carried. Silence was their greatest weapon. On the alien side, the first boarding shuttle reached the hull. Its magnetic claws latched on with a heavy thud. Alien soldiers in dark armor prepared to cut through. They grinned, imagining the frightened humans inside. "It will be quick," one said. "We'll drag them out in chains." But as they touched the hull, the walls of the ship vibrated faintly. The aliens froze. "Did you feel that?" one whispered. "The ship is humming." Another soldier sneered. "Just old engines. Focus." They cut through the hull. Sparks flew. Metal screeched. A hole opened into the ship's corridor. Dark, silent, empty. They expected panic. They expected screams. But instead, they found the corridor lit by faint red lights, and silence so deep it felt unnatural. The air was cold, heavy. It pressed on their lungs. The soldiers marched inside cautiously, weapons raised. "Where are they?" At that moment, the patrol commander's communicator buzzed. His officer shouted, panic in his voice. "Commander! The scanners are detecting energy spikes inside the human vessel. Unknown origin. Not weapons we recognize." The commander's throat went dry. "Pull back the shuttles," he ordered quickly. "Now." But it was too late. The soldiers inside the human ship reached the first door. It slid open slowly, and there they saw the human crew. Standing in silence. Not moving. Not speaking. Just watching. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim red light, reflecting cold determination. The aliens raised their weapons. "Hands up!" one shouted. The humans did not move. The alien leader stepped forward, growling. "Do you not hear me? Surrender!" Finally, Captain Ward spoke, his voice low but steady. "We already did." The alien leader blinked, confused. "Then why do you not kneel?" Ward's eyes narrowed. "Because you never asked the right question." Before the alien could answer, the ship's walls shook. The humming grew louder, deeper, as if the vessel itself was alive. Lights flared briefly along the corridor, and the aliens felt the floor vibrate under their boots. Their weapons suddenly felt small, useless, as if the air itself drained their strength. Back on the patrol ship, alarms rang. "Commander! Energy readings climbing. The human ship is not damaged, it is charging something." The commander's face turned pale. He shouted into the comms, "Soldiers, retreat! Retreat at once!" Inside the ship, the aliens tried to pull back, but the corridor behind them sealed shut with a heavy slam. They were trapped. The humans did not chase them. They simply stood there, silent, eyes fixed on their enemies. The humming grew unbearable, like a giant heartbeat filling the air. Captain Ward whispered to his crew, "Not yet. Hold." The alien soldiers trembled, sweat dripping under their helmets. One whispered, "This is wrong. They should be afraid. They should be broken. Why do they look at us like that?" The human crew remained calm. Silent. Unmoving. The patrol commander screamed through the comms, "Get out of there!" But the aliens inside already knew escape was impossible. Something was waking in the heart of the human ship. Something their scanners could not explain. For the first time in many years, the Krix commander felt true fear. He slammed his fists on the console, his voice shaking. "This is no surrender. This is a trap." And deep inside the human ship, Captain Ward finally gave the order. His voice was calm, cold, final. "Begin." The order had been given. Just one word from Captain Elias Ward, "Begin," and the mood inside the human ship shifted. The silence was still there, but it no longer felt like patience. It felt like the calm before a storm. The crew moved with precise discipline, each officer pressing buttons and unlocking systems that no outsider had ever seen. For years, this ship had drifted across human space as nothing more than a rumor, a shadow. Tonight, its secret was about to be revealed. The alien boarding team froze where they stood. They had their weapons ready, but suddenly their weapons felt pointless, like sticks against a mountain. The humans did not raise guns. They did not attack. They simply turned, one by one, toward the core of their ship. Their faces were lit by the deep red glow of the humming walls, their eyes shining with something terrifying, confidence. On the patrol commander's ship, chaos filled the bridge. "Commander, energy readings spiking again," shouted his science officer. "It's not a reactor. It's something else. It's building, no, condensing into a single point." The commander gritted his teeth, shouting, "Pull back the fleet. Now." But pride and arrogance slowed his officers. "Sir, it's only one broken ship," another argued. "We have 20 cruisers here. Even if it has a weapon, it cannot fight all of us." The commander's gut told him the truth. Numbers would not matter. Inside the human ship, Captain Ward stood at the command station. "Target?" his weapons officer asked. Ward's eyes fixed on the alien flagship on the screen. It was huge, armed with thousands of cannons, built to crush entire worlds. Compared to it, the human ship looked like a dying insect. Ward raised one finger. "There," he said. The humming became a roar, deep and thunderous, vibrating through the bones of every crew member. A light formed in the center of the ship, brighter than a star, pure and silent. It gathered into a narrow beam that stretched forward, pressing against the void. The alien soldiers inside the ship fell to their knees, clutching their helmets as the walls shook. One of them cried out, "What is happening?" The humans did not answer. They simply watched. Then the beam fired. It was not fire, nor plasma, nor missiles. It was something older, stranger. It did not explode. It did not burn. It erased. The alien flagship, once proud and massive, flickered like a candle flame in the wind. For a brief second, it seemed to fade out of reality itself. Then, in complete silence, it was gone. No debris. No wreckage. Just emptiness where a giant warship had been. The alien patrol crews screamed in horror. "The flagship, it's gone. It didn't explode, it vanished." The commander stared in shock, his eyes wide, his heart pounding. He could not believe what he had just seen. "That's impossible," he whispered. "No weapon can do that." The other alien ships panicked, breaking formation. Their laughter was gone, replaced by pure terror. They fired everything they had at the human vessel, lasers, torpedoes, missiles, but as the weapons neared their target, they twisted away as if space itself had bent around the ship. Nothing touched it. Nothing even came close. The human crew stood steady as their ship floated unharmed through the storm. On the alien side, fear spread like wildfire. One officer cried out, "It's a cursed ship. It doesn't fight like normal. It doesn't belong here." Another screamed, "Retreat! We must retreat!" But the commander slammed his fists down. "No! Stand and fight! If we run, this will spread across the Empire." His words sounded strong, but his eyes betrayed him. He knew the truth. Nothing they did could stop that ship. Inside the vessel, Captain Ward's young officer whispered, almost in awe, "Sir, it worked. Just one shot, and their largest cruiser is gone." Ward's face remained calm, but in his voice there was a shadow of sorrow. "Yes. And now they will understand." The boarding team inside the ship tried to retreat, banging on sealed doors. "Commander, pull us out," they cried through their comms. But the humans simply ignored them. To Captain Ward, they were no threat. They were already defeated. The alien commander, pale and shaking, turned to his crew. "Get me answers. What kind of ship is this? What did the humans create?" His science officer whispered back, his voice trembling. "Commander, this is not a ship. It's a weapon wearing the shape of one." The commander stared at the glowing vessel on the screen, and for the first time in his long career, he felt powerless. "What have the humans unleashed?" he asked quietly. Back inside, Ward placed a hand on the control console. His crew waited silently for his next order. "Do we fire again, Captain?" his officer asked. Ward shook his head. "Not yet. Let them fear. Fear is stronger than destruction." The lights of the ship dimmed again, as if the weapon had gone back to sleep. The humming softened. For a moment, it looked like the broken, weak vessel once more. But now the aliens knew the truth. They had seen a single strike. They had watched a massive warship vanish into nothing. And they realized this was only the beginning. The commander's voice cracked as he gave his new order. "All ships, fall back. Now." But it was already too late. The human ship sensors locked onto another cruiser. The crew stood in silence, waiting for the captain's word. And when Ward finally raised his hand, the alien fleet knew their nightmare was only beginning. The battlefield was silent after the strike. Where the massive Krix flagship had floated proudly just minutes earlier, there was now only empty space. No fire. No debris. Not even dust. It had been erased, as if it had never existed. The alien commander gripped his chair, his claws digging into the armrests. His officers stared at their screens in horror. Some whispered prayers in their language. Others simply shook their heads in disbelief. The commander finally spoke, his voice low and shaking. "One shot, only one, and it destroyed everything." The younger officers panicked. "Commander, we must retreat. That ship, it's not normal. We are not fighting humans. We are fighting something else." The commander's pride clashed with his fear. He wanted to run, but he knew what retreat meant. The Krix Empire was built on strength and dominance. To flee from a single human vessel would be shame beyond repair. "No," he growled. "We hold position. We are Krix. We do not run from prey." But his words were hollow, even to himself. On the human ship, Captain Elias Ward watched calmly. The crew did not cheer. They did not celebrate. They stood in silence, their eyes fixed on their captain, waiting for his orders. Ward finally spoke. "Stand down. Power low. Let them wonder." The weapon's glow faded again, leaving the vessel looking weak and broken, just as before. But now the aliens knew the truth. The disguise no longer fooled them. Every beat of silence felt like a blade pressed against their throats. The boarding team trapped inside the human ship pressed against the sealed doors, screaming into their comms. "Commander! Get us out! The ship, it's alive! It's not human!" Their voices cracked with terror. The commander slammed his fists down, furious and afraid. "Silence! You will hold position. Do not let fear control you." But his orders carried no weight anymore. Even his own soldiers heard the fear in his voice. Rumors spread quickly across the fleet. Whispers of an ancient weapon, a forbidden project buried deep in human space, one that was never meant to be used. Some claimed the ship wasn't a ship at all, but a creature built to erase whole civilizations. Others said it was cursed, that any who fought it would vanish from existence. The commander tried to crush the fear, but it spread faster than fire. "They built this to end wars," one officer muttered. "They built this to make enemies vanish." Another replied, trembling, "If one shot can erase a flagship, what happens if it fires again? If it fires 10 times? 100? On the human vessel, the young officer leaned closer to Captain Ward. "Sir, the enemy is panicking. Their ships are breaking formation." Ward nodded, his expression unreadable. "Good. Let fear do our work. They must learn." His voice was steady, but his crew could sense the weight behind it. This mission was not just about survival. It was about sending a message. The alien commander paced across his bridge, his claws clicking against the floor. His science officer spoke, voice shaking. "Commander, our weapons cannot touch them. Our scans show their ship bends space itself. Our attacks vanish before contact. We are defenseless." The commander bared his teeth, rage and fear burning in his eyes. "Then find its weakness. No ship is invincible. No weapon lasts forever." But deep inside, he doubted his own words. One of the younger officers leaned in, whispering nervously, "Commander, what if this is the ship the old story spoke of? The one the humans buried because even they feared it?" The commander snarled, "Stories do not erase flagships." Yet the image of the vanished cruiser burned in his mind. He could not erase it. On the human ship, the lights flickered faintly. The weapon inside stirred again, sensing the tension. Captain Ward touched the console gently, as if calming a beast. "Not yet," he whispered. His crew obeyed without question. The aliens, however, could not stay calm. Their soldiers shouted across comms, their voices filled with panic. "It's charging again. Look at the lights." Missiles fired blindly, desperate to hit something, anything. But again, the attacks curved away, dissolving before touching the human vessel. The commander slammed his fists down, roaring, "Stop wasting ammunition. You're only showing your fear." But fear was already everywhere. Even his own hands trembled. The humans remained silent. They did not fire. They did not move. They simply waited, watching the alien fleet unravel from within. The commander's mind raced. Retreat would bring shame. Attack would bring death. He was trapped. He turned to his officers, eyes blazing. "Signal the Empire. Tell them we have found something dangerous. Tell them humanity hides a weapon that should not exist." His officer hesitated. "And if the High Command demands victory?" The commander looked back at the human ship, still glowing faintly, still waiting. His voice cracked. "Then High Command will die too." Inside the human vessel, Captain Ward finally raised his head. He looked at his crew, his voice steady and cold. "They are beginning to understand. But understanding is not enough. Fear must grow." His crew answered in one voice. "Yes, Captain." The ship's core pulsed once more, brighter this time, shaking the battlefield. The aliens gasped as their scanners screamed warnings. They expected destruction, but instead, nothing happened. The light dimmed. The ship returned to silence. It was only a warning. The alien commander clutched his chest, his heart racing. He realized the humans were not just destroying ships. They were playing with them, letting fear spread like poison. And in that moment, for the first time in Crick's history, an entire fleet hesitated to fight. The alien fleet hung in space, scattered and trembling. The Crick's empire had fought humans before. They had crushed their colonies, burned their fleets, and laughed at their fragile defenses. But now, for the first time, it was the Cricks who felt fragile. One human vessel, just one, had erased their flagship without firing a single missile. And now it waited, calm and silent, daring them to test their courage again. On the command bridge of the Crick's patrol, officers whispered in panic. Some wanted to retreat. Others wanted to call for reinforcements. The commander listened, but his eyes never left the glowing human ship. He felt trapped between pride and fear. If he ran, the Empire would call him a coward. If he fought, he would lose everything. The science officer finally broke the silence. His voice trembled as he read the latest scan. "Commander, the ship is not only bending space. It's erasing it. Their weapon doesn't destroy matter. It removes it from reality." The commander froze. That is impossible. But the officer shook his head. Look at the readings. Where the flagship once stood, there is nothing. Not debris, not atoms, not radiation. It's as if the ship never existed. The commander's chest tightened. His claws dug into the metal railing. What kind of weapon does this? Why would humans build such a thing? A younger officer whispered, because they wanted the galaxy to fear them forever. Inside the human vessel, Captain Elias Ward stood calmly at the center of the bridge. His crew moved in perfect silence, eyes focused, hands steady. They had been trained for this mission since the day they were chosen. To them, this was not just a battle. It was a duty, a burden, a curse. The young officer who had spoken earlier finally asked, voice quiet, "Sir, should we fire again?" They are afraid, but still standing. Ward's eyes narrowed. Not yet. We will wait. He looked down at the console in front of him. The ship's core pulsed faintly, like a living heart. It was not a normal reactor. It was something older, something forbidden. Ward's hand hovered above the controls for a moment, as if he felt its weight pressing against him. Then he pulled back. The weapon was powerful, but it demanded respect. On the alien flagship replacement, panic grew. The commander shouted at his soldiers to stand firm, but whispers spread like poison. "This is the Erebus," one officer said under his breath. "The lost ship. The one humans swore to bury." Another hissed back, "No. That was only legend. A myth." But their voices shook. Myths did not erase warships. The commander heard the whispers, and fury burned in his chest. He slammed his fist on the console. "Enough. Legends do not win wars. We will crush them now." "Commander," the science officer interrupted, pale and sweating. "If we do not retreat, we risk losing every ship in this sector." The commander snarled. "And if we retreat, we lose our honor. We lose the Empire's trust. Do you want to be executed for cowardice?" His officers lowered their heads, but their fear did not vanish. The commander raised his arm. "All ships, fire everything!" And then the void lit up. Dozens of alien cruisers unleashed their full arsenal. Missiles streaked through space. Plasma beams cut across the dark. Cannon fire rattled like thunder. It was enough to destroy a small moon. The weapons converged on the single human vessel. But just as before, the laws of space bent. The missiles twisted away and vanished into nothing. The beams split apart like water, curving around the ship. Explosions fizzled into silence before they could even touch its hull. It was as if the human vessel was untouchable, wrapped in some unseen shield of reality itself. The alien crews watched in despair. "Nothing works," one cried. "It's not a ship. It's a god." Inside the human vessel, the crew did not flinch. The storm of fire outside was nothing more than light against glass. Captain Ward finally spoke, his voice cold and calm. "They still do not understand." "Very well. Show them." His weapons officer turned to him. "Full reveal, Captain." Ward's eyes hardened. "Full reveal." The ship shuddered. Panels along its hull slid open, exposing glowing lines of light that stretched across its body. What had once looked like broken cracks now shone with power, like veins of a living creature. The disguise of weakness fell away. For the first time, the alien fleet saw the human ship for what it truly was. It was not weak. It was terrifying. The commander gasped, his heart racing. His officers stared in shock, unable to speak. One whispered, "That ship is not built for war. It is built for extinction." The science officer finally spoke, voice hollow. "Commander, this is not just a weapon. This is a warning. A weapon humanity locked away because it was too dangerous, even for them. And now, they have unleashed it." The commander's legs felt weak. His mind screamed to run. But his pride chained him to his chair. He could not retreat. Not now. Not ever. Back on the human vessel, Captain Ward stared at the glowing console. "Now," he said. "One more shot." The core roared to life, brighter than before. A beam formed again, ready to strike. The aliens trembled, frozen in terror, as the weapon locked onto its next victim. The commander closed his eyes. He knew what was coming. The beam hummed, glowing brighter than a star. Every alien ship froze as if the entire fleet held its breath. Then, without warning, the human vessel powered down. The weapon's light faded. Silence returned. Confused whispers filled the alien bridges. Some believed the humans had spared them. Others thought it was a trick. The commander leaned forward, sweat rolling down his scaled face. "Why did they stop?" he muttered. Inside the human vessel, Captain Ward slowly lowered his hand from the console. His crew exchanged uncertain looks, but none spoke. They knew better. The weapon was not simple technology. It had limits. It had rules. The ship's AI broke the silence with a cold, mechanical voice. "Warning, firing sequence incomplete. Core stability at risk. Overuse may cause collapse." Ward exhaled. "We came close," he said quietly. "Too close." One young officer finally asked, "Sir, why do we even have this weapon? Why not destroy it when we had the chance?" Ward's gaze hardened. His voice was calm but heavy, carrying the weight of history. "Because this ship is older than any of us. Older than the fleet. Older than the Empire itself." The officer frowned. "Sir, what do you mean?" Ward turned to face his crew. "This vessel is not fully human-made. Long before our time, humans found ruins on a forgotten world. A world erased from star maps. Buried deep under its surface, they found something left behind by someone else. They studied it, feared it, and tried to copy it. Most attempts failed. But one succeeded. That attempt is what we are standing inside right now." The crew fell silent. They had all heard rumors, but none expected their captain to confirm them. On the alien flagship, their science officer shouted, "Commander, I have cracked part of the signal. The energy this ship uses, it is not human. It is older, far older. This is why nothing makes sense." The commander growled. "Are you saying humans are using alien relics against us?" The officer nodded nervously. "Yes. And I fear it is not just a relic, it is a prison. The weapon is not only made to destroy. It is made to contain." The commander's eyes widened, but he quickly masked his fear. "Contain what?" The officer swallowed hard. "Something worse than us." Back inside the human ship, Ward's memory drifted back to the first time he was briefed on the mission. He remembered standing in a dark room, surrounded by admirals and scientists. They had shown him fragments of data. Ruins that spoke of a war billions of years ago. A war where entire galaxies burned. A war stopped only when this weapon was created. They had told him the truth. This is not a tool of war. It is a tool of ending. If unleashed without control, it does not only kill enemies. It consumes space itself. It is the last resort, the weapon that should never be used. And yet, here they were, using it again. Ward blinked, pulling himself back to the present. His crew was watching him, waiting for orders. He finally said, "We will not fire again unless forced. This ship carries the weight of history. It was hidden for a reason. But if the Crix push us further, then history will repeat itself." On the alien side, panic spread quickly. Many captains begged to retreat. But the commander stood firm, pride keeping him in place. "We cannot run from one ship. The Empire will never forgive us." His science officer leaned closer, whispering urgently, "Commander, you don't understand. That ship is not fighting us. It is holding back. If it unleashed its full power, none of us would exist right now. The humans are not weak. They are merciful." The commander slammed his claws down. "Mercy? Humans know nothing of mercy." But his own voice cracked. Deep inside, he wondered if the officer was right. Meanwhile, on the human ship, the AI suddenly spoke again. "Long-range scan complete. Enemy reinforcements approaching. Estimated arrival, 20 minutes." The crew stiffened. Ward's face remained unreadable, but his heart sank. The Crix Empire had sent more ships. Hundreds more. The single vessel would soon be surrounded. The young officer whispered, "Sir, if they trap us, we will have no choice but to use the core again." Ward closed his eyes. "I know." The crew felt the weight of his words. Using the core again could destroy their enemies, but it could also consume them all. In the alien fleet, reinforcements were already arriving. Dozens of new warships jumped into the system, engines blazing, weapons ready. The commander smiled grimly. Now the humans will know fear. But deep down, he wondered if fear was already his constant companion. As the two sides prepared for the next clash, space itself seemed to tremble. The human vessel glowed faintly, as if alive, as if waiting for what was to come. Captain Ward looked at the pulsing core once more. He whispered, not to his crew, but to the ship itself. "If we do this again, don't take us with you." The vessel responded with silence. Only the steady, ominous hum filled the air. Outside, the alien reinforcements began to close in. The trap was forming. The battle was about to ignite again. And this time, the secret of the ship might not stay hidden.